Because I am inspired by other people's writings and teachings, I share them with you and hope you receive inspiration as well. I add my 2 cents worth by sharing how these teachings have affected me in my life in recovery and spirituality. Hi, my name is Dee Harris, and the blog that I'm writing about was written by Melissa Eisler. It's called The Prescription for Imposter Syndrome. Melissa writes, have you ever felt like you weren't deserving of your successes in life? Maybe there's a little nagging voice inside you that says you're not good enough or qualified enough for the job promotions, the high praises, or the awards that you've received. And maybe it doesn't add up because you have the schooling, experience, and talent as evidence of your competence, but you are often dismissing your achievements on luck, timing, or a result of deceiving others into thinking you are more qualified than you think you are. If you can't seem to shake the feeling that you're a fraud of your own accomplishments, you may be experiencing the crippling effects of what is commonly called imposter syndrome. While it is not considered an official diagnosis, imposter syndrome is acknowledged among mental health professionals for its prevalence and the stress, anxiety, and/or depression it can cause. People who suffer from this syndrome live in constant fear that they will be exposed for being unqualified or fake. It can take different forms, but here are some common signs. Having perfectionism, overworking yourself, undermining your achievements, discounting praise. Here's Dee's 2 cents. For me, I had minimal self-worth and even less self-esteem. Yes, the imposter syndrome. It played heavy in my life. How could it not? From the moment we're born, we are exposed, inundated, smothered by outside influences that don't empower our highest selves. We are led to compare ourselves with those around us in our society, with peers at school, with our coworkers, with our friends. Sad, huh? So when the stress and anxiety comes, so do the above bullet points, all of them. And then comes the alcoholism. Back to Melissa. The good news is that you can overcome it. You can train yourself quickly to identify it, manage it, and beat it. Here's how. Number 1, recognize your imposter syndrome. The first step is to become aware of your thoughts and feelings. The next time someone gives you a promotion, praise, or award, listen to your internal dialogue and how it makes you feel. Oftentimes, people who suffer with imposter syndrome undermine their achievements and discount praise that's aimed their way. It's important to note that just because you feel like a fraud doesn't mean that you are a fraud. Separating feelings from facts allows you to see the truth. Start shining a light on that little nagging voice and recognize it for what it is, the imposter syndrome. These 2 cents. I didn't even have a ray of light. No light at the end of the tunnel, no nothing, until I finally got sober. For decades, I had no light, no hope, no purpose, no reason for living, even though I was one of those with schooling, experience, and talent as evidence for my competence. But I lacked confidence and thought more of what you thought of me than what I thought of myself. So what happened? I finally hit my bottom of escaping into my alcoholism. I couldn't go on this way any longer, and I got caught. Actually, my higher power, that I didn't even know I had at the time, said it was time to make an intervention and start my new journey. It all started in a treatment program for alcoholism. Back to Melissa. Number 2, share your thoughts and feelings. You may be feeling shame about your imposter syndrome, and that can keep you from sharing your feelings. However, knowing there's a name for your feelings and that you are not alone can be incredibly liberating. So share your feelings of self-doubt and self-worth with your spouse, a friend, a therapist, a mentor, or a life coach. When you confide in someone about your negative self-assessment, it will bring you one step closer to overcoming imposter syndrome. D's turn. When I found myself in the abyss of my alcoholism, I pled with my husband to help me, to intervene, put me away, lock me up, but he didn't. He knew that unless I made the change, made the surrender, admit my helplessness, it wouldn't do any good. And yes, I felt terribly alone. Didn't everybody drink that way? But why did they always seem so happy and productive? I was too ashamed, guilt-ridden, embarrassed, and humiliated to share my story with anybody. Melissa, number 3, know when it's okay to feel this way. Sometimes having feelings of inadequacy can be a normal reaction. For example, if you are changing jobs or are the first minority in your workplace, it's only natural that you sometimes feel like you don't fit in. Don't attach these feelings to your self-worth or see them as a sign of your incompetence. Accept them as normal in response to being an outsider. D. As you have noticed, my story isn't just about the imposter syndrome. Not for me. I have a huge driving force in my story, along with the imposter syndrome, and that's my alcoholism. In all honesty, even though my own dad's passing at a young age was partially due to his alcoholism, I didn't know anything about the disease. Not until I entered a 28-day treatment program for alcoholism. But my feelings of inadequacy and not fitting in were prevalent way before my drinking got out of control. I was always very self-conscious. I never felt like I really fit in anywhere and just hoped I could fake it till I make it. Having worked the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous numerous times with many trusted sponsors, I have found that my life, as far as I can remember, was fear-based. Why? I don't know. I don't know the specifics, and it doesn't much matter at this point, except for that I realize it, I accept it, I thank it for coming, and then I encourage it to leave. With this knowledge, acceptance, and yearning to live differently today, my life has become freer. I can finally feel comfortable in my own skin and value my opinion of myself more than your opinion of me, and that is huge. Melissa, number 4, reframe your thinking. Once you become aware of your imposter syndrome, shared it with others, and separated when having those feelings are normal, the next step is to start working with your thinking. When a situation triggers your imposter syndrome, first reward yourself for catching it, and then shift your thoughts to a more positive perspective. For example, if the thought of, I don't deserve this compliment, pops into mind, start by congratulating yourself for recognizing your imposter syndrome. Then shift your thoughts to something like, I feel undeserving of this compliment right now. Perhaps that's my imposter syndrome talking. I would like to learn how to better accept praise. Baby steps are the key. You don't want to go from I am underqualified for this position to I am overqualified for this position. You will reject that belief in a heartbeat as completely untrue because it is too drastic of a mind shift. Instead, try something more manageable. I may feel underqualified for this position, but everyone who starts something that's new feels insecure at the beginning. D's 2 cents. Yes. Turn whatever negative thoughts come to mind into positives. I believe that everything happens for a reason. Not to see us fail, but to help us succeed. To be our best selves. If we don't experience those tough thoughts about ourselves and turn them into positives, nurturing mindsets, we shall not succeed. Learn from what your higher power puts on your plate in a positive and nurturing way. Melissa, number 5, accept praise gracefully. In addition to reframing your mindset, it's also helpful to learn how to receive compliments, awards, promotions, high praise, and anything else positive aimed at you gracefully. Once you start becoming aware of how you negatively respond to these things, it's time to take a break. Break the cycle of continually seeking and then dismissing validation outside of yourself. To do this, set an intention to learn how to transform your reaction and express gratitude. Try a simple "thank you" the next time you are complimented. You'll notice it feels better for not only you, but for everyone else around you. Dee's turn. In our society, we are taught that more is better. So not true. And that applies to speaking. Don't go on and on when asked a question. A simple yes or no will suffice, without a long, drawn-out excuse or rationalization. No one really gives a shit anyway. And once you start to peel off the layers of the onion skin, which is yourself, you will notice that you can start forgiving, accepting, and loving the person that you are. You are a special and unique gift who was created with assets that no other human being on the planet has. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of being human, and then share your gift. Melissa, number 6, manage your perfectionism. Many people with imposter syndrome struggle with perfectionism, often obsessing over details and fearing that if they aren't perfect, they will soon be discovered as a fraud. There are healthy levels of perfectionism when you use it as a motivational force to excel and commit to high standards. And then there are unhealthy levels which cause obsession and fear. People who have a healthy sense of perfection don't let their mistakes weigh them down, nor define who they are. In essence, do a great job when it matters most and let go of things out of your control. When an inevitable mistake happens, forgive yourself and move on. My turn. Today I consider my perfectionism to be one of my character defects. It most certainly did not serve me. Now I can be proud that I have just done my best. No more, no less, just my best. As an alcoholic in recovery, I still retain my obsessive-compulsive behavior and thinking. However, since I am aware of this now and how it negatively affects my life, I embrace it, thank it for coming, and then let it go when it appears. Melissa, number 7, develop a new response to failure. One telltale sign of imposter syndrome is beating yourself up for being human, also known as for making even the tiniest of mistakes. Coupled with perfectionism, a self-critical response to failure, I should have known better, or I should have known the answer. That's unhealthy. It is not realistic, as we all make mistakes. So next time things don't go as planned, because they won't, or you're wrong because you will be, try acknowledging the lesson learned, allowing room for self-compassion and then moving on. Remember that you have just as much right as anyone else to be wrong, have an off day, or need help. D. Today I can laugh at myself when I make an ass of myself. That's only because I love and accept myself for who I am today. And I know that I am doing my best, and yes, I am human. As are you. I don't judge you for your mistakes. And if you judge me, not my problem. I have no control over people, places, or things, and life continues on. Everything in my life is purposely positioned. Every person I meet, every experience I have, and all are for the purpose of my growth, my success, my sharing my experience, strength, and hope with others to help them through their imposter syndromes. Melissa, number 8, make time for you. People who suffer from imposter syndrome often work harder than others to make up for feeling like a fraud. On the positive side, they are highly ambitious and great achievers. On the negative side, they overwork themselves and are prone to burnout. Being diligent is a great quality, but not at the expense of your health. Finding balance is the key. You do not need to overwork yourself on the job in order to compensate for fictional inadequacies. In fact, redefine what working harder means to you. It can be working hard on taking care of yourself. Figure out what you need to do in order to take care of yourself and create a self-care program that works for you. 2 cents. This has been difficult because I have always put myself last. Remember, I cared more about what you thought about me than what I thought about myself. I am trying my best to nurture myself, to put balance and moderation in my life. But again, I'm obsessive compulsive. But the seed has been placed, and one day at a time, I practice self-care. Not only for my reward for jobs well done, but for survival, fitness, and sanity. Melissa, 9. By being able to paint a concrete picture of what success looks like to you, it can become less vague and more obtainable. That way, when it does happen, you won't be so quick to reject it. Here are some simple ways to help you visualize success. Write down your goals. Get it out of your head and onto paper. By being able to communicate your goals, you can easily imagine them happening. Picture yourself victorious. Visualize how you navigate a situation, as many details as you can so it feels true when it happens. 2 cents. I'm lucky that I love to write. And I notice that when I do write things down, those thoughts sink in. They make more sense and they get stronger. I'll even write things down over and over, and each time I do, the light bulb becomes a little brighter. Try it. Like with an affirmation, it will sink in and it will come to fruition. When I take the time to quiet my mind, as with meditation, is when my visualizations become more tangible. Again, by repeatedly visualizing, writing things down over and over, thinking about what victory looks like to you, you become more solid and focused. Your brain will start to realize that this is important stuff. So I best get moving to accomplish and succeed. Melissa, number 10. Remember that you are not alone. Lots of highly successful people experience similar feelings of inadequacy. Authors Maya Angelou and Seth Godin, actor Tom Hanks, Natalie Portman, Felicia Day, and comedians Amy Schumer and Tina Fey, just to name a few. And just knowing that others are experiencing it too can make you feel less isolated, releasing the syndrome's power over you. In fact, studies found that 70% of people have struggled with imposter syndrome at some time in their lives. Your friends, bosses, classmates, and others you respect may have felt similar feelings of inadequacy. In our competitive achievement-obsessed culture, it is probably more common than you think. So when you realize that you are not alone and actually connected to a lot of successful people who suffer from the same unhelpful symptoms of imposter syndrome, it will help you feel less lonely. Remember, you wouldn't be promoted, complimented, trusted, and praised if you were actually a fraud. Let these tips help you expose imposter syndrome for what it truly is, not reality. This is it, the last for me. Finding a group of like-minded people with whom I surround myself has helped me tremendously by comforting me and reinforcing in me that I am not alone. For me, my like-minded people I found in the AA fellowship, but there are a wealth of local support groups in your area who are there to help you with whatever ails you. Imposter syndrome, addictions, depression, life itself. And if the first shoe doesn't fit, try another until you feel like you're finally home. Thank you for sharing my journey with me. I would love to hear about your journey. My name is Dee Harris. Aloha.